This 2 hour session is basically a very brief of a 1 week training. I'm sure you know about it, that we go. This is a little bit brief version of the same thing. In these 2 hours, it is broke down into two sessions, two parts. The first session focuses on how to get sellers. On the second part, it's more about buyers. What we will discuss in this session for today, it's less of a technical legal. It is more of a marketing, or let me put it in another word, it's more about the core business of real estate. So we might touch upon things that are discussed in a school, such as forms or how to deal with representation. But I think that's not the point, because you have been through that in school. That will not bring you business. Unfortunately, in Ontario Real Estate Association classes, they don't focus much on marketing and business. They mainly focus on technical, legal aspect of the issue, like how to do things more ethically and within the legal frame, things like that. They don't teach you how to do business. So that's why when a student graduates from OREA, they don't know where to start and how to start and where to go and things like that. And unfortunately, when in a lot of brokerages, including the one that I started with, there is not much help offered. So basically, you're, as they call it, independent contractor. You have to figure out your way yourself, which is very hard, no matter what kind of a background you come from. Especially if you're not in sales background, it's even harder. So that's why the main purpose of today's session, and then more of an elaborated version of this, which is in a couple of, actually next week, the main goal is to get you start rolling and give you an idea where to start and how to start and where the leads are generating. So having said that, let's start. Oh, by the way, another thing, you can always stop me. This is especially since you're just one person here, although we have people online, and if they have questions, they can ask too. So you can stop me. This should not be more of a monologue. You can interrupt and maybe add something, or if clarify something if I'm going too fast. So having said that, we will start with a step-by-step selling process. Now, as I said, this is the first step, explaining agency relationship to your prospect, right? I will not call it client, because client is someone who has signed up with you and the agency agreement. So these are your prospect. There is a form, as you know, that you will, and that form looks something like that, right? You have seen it in school, right? Yeah, so basically it explains that what is your relationship. Are you representing him as a buyer, as a seller, and explaining that dual agency or multiple agency might happen, which means you're representing both sides. This is also in another format. I'm not sure if you came across. I will click on this to open. It's a fax format. So basically, which means you can simply send this to your clients through fax, and they can sign it. So which means you don't have to meet them in person. Now, once you do that, since yeah.
So they sign it and fax it back to you?
Yes, yeah. Well, as long as they say, in your first contact, which could be email, fax, phone, at your first opportunity, you have to explain agency. So whether that's through fax or email or whatever you prefer, or they prefer. So having said that, now since we are focusing on listing, so this is what happens. A friend of, especially when you start your circle of influence, for example, people you know from your work, or your family, or your friends, or somebody that got your card, or you did a flyer, or whatever reason from your advertising, they call you and tell you, come and list my house, or sell my house, or give me an idea how much my house is worth, right? So this is how things start, that people call you and say, either they will say, come and sell my house, or come and list my house, or give me an idea how much my home is worth. The mistake, unfortunately, a lot of agents make is that they either go right away to their house, which they're not prepared for, because to sell a house, you have to be prepared. No matter how experienced you are, how long you're in this business, that's not important. You have to be prepared. And so this, actually, a couple of years ago, I have recorded few videos, which I will be, probably some of it I will be playing a lot as we go, and one of them is about listing preparation. So this video will basically explain why it is important that you prepare yourself before going.
They have to
Okay, so we will discuss this in more detail as we go. By the way, when I say listing preparation, you're still at your office or at your home. They have just called you. We have not yet stepped into their house. By the way, you have not missed much. We just started. Yeah. So we're preparing for the listing. Somebody called you and they say, we want you to list our house or give us an idea how much our home is worth. That's where we are. Now, you're at your home or you're at office. You're not at their home, just I want to remind you. So before you go to their home, you have to take 3 steps. Now, why are we taking these 3 steps? Because if you just go right away without preparation, the chance of you not getting the listing is very high. They would rather give it to someone else, and we will discuss why they will give it to someone else, because you're not prepared. You don't come very confident across. So the 3 steps are that first you have to have a listing package. And today we will work together, and if you want to take notes, if you don't have pen or paper, or on your digital device, if you want to take notes, we have to work together to prepare you a package, which is a listing package that you should have all the time. This is a one-time that you will work to prepare it, and then you can use the same package all the time. And the second, once you drop the package, you have to pre-qualify them, and then the presentation package. So we will walk through each one of those steps. So as I was saying, this is the biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes that agents make is that they go to someone's house to list the property and not being prepared, okay? So the first step is you have to have some of these things in your package. For example, if you have just listed a home, if you have not listed a home, you can use Office's listing and you can prepare a just listed postcard. Or you can prepare a just listed postcard for the house that you're going to list to show them how you're going to do it. You can have your previous feature sheets, or you can have a feature sheet for this house. You should have a marketing plan of action. So what is marketing plan of action? Well, marketing plan of action is something that basically you're going to say to the seller that I will do A, B, C. I will do these list of things to sell your house. But you can, by the way, you have access to all these material. If you need, you can get it from the computers, or Nilo can email you. Now, we have prepared 20 things that you can do for them. Now, these 20, you have to take this to them. It's already prepared, but now you may not be able to do all the 20 things. So you can, this is a Word file, you can customize it. You can make it 10 things that you will do for them, or you can make it 30 things that you will do. But basically, you should have something like this, which will basically say that you will do these things for them. If you have sold properties in the, there is a just sold postcard, so you should have that. If you have a newsletter, any kind of advertising or marketing material. So basically, this is a package that you will go and give it to them. Office, at the time that you are joining here, I'm not sure if Nilo shared with you, we already have prepared somewhat of a selling package for your seller. So you can drop, you just have to change your picture. Maybe I will bring it in the break to show it to you again. Now, once you drop that package, so for example, they will call you and say, I want you to come list my home. It is a very bad idea to say, okay, I'm coming right now, because the chance of you getting the listing is very low. Normally people think that, okay, how come he came without preparation? How does he know how much my home is worth? So before you go there, you want to impress them. You want them to feel confident in you that you're a professional. So one of the ways they will feel confident is that even before you go, so for example, you will say, okay, how about tomorrow at around 5 o'clock, or whatever works. And then between now and tomorrow, you will drop this package at their door. Without talking to them, you will just drop it at their mail slot or at the back of their door, wherever possible, right? So you're just going to drop it and then call back and say, okay, I dropped my package yesterday or today afternoon. Did you receive it? Then you will ask qualifying questions. Now, if you ask these qualifying questions before dropping the package, they may not feel comfortable. The purpose of dropping the package is to show that you are in business. That's it. It is just a piece of paper to show that you can do and you can sell this their house. So then you will ask these qualifying questions. How long have you lived at this address? Okay? Which shows that, which basically means that you're trying to find more information from him, right? Where will you be moving to, right? When? What do you feel your home is worth? Along with you, who owns the house? This is very important. If you go to a property and let's say just wife or husband or one of the spouses are talking to you and the other one is not there at the presentation, it means they're not serious. You want to show that your time is important, and basically it gives you a lot of confidence when you ask these qualifying questions when you're at the presentation. Okay? So whoever is not there, you will ask them if they will be there when you come there. This is, I think, one of the most crucial questions. You don't have to ask it the way I have put it here, but basically the point is, you're going to say, after asking those questions, if I come to your home and you feel comfortable and confident to list your home with me, will you do that? Will you sell your property with me or not? Okay? So if they say no, that means you want to know why they are saying no. Is it because they just want you to come to give them an idea about the house, or maybe they're just waiting for somebody to come? I think the point is not for you to find that, but the point is to give them this confidence that you're busy. You have things to do. So that's why you're asking this question. If you go without asking these questions, they will think that you're free and basically they can walk all over you. You want to be in control. These are sales tactics. You want to be in control when you go into their home. Are you getting the point? If you pre-qualify before going there, when you're at the presentation, they will not walk all over you. So they will know that you're busy, and also there is less chance of them debating with you or discussing with you about commission. You have already built your image. The point is to build your image before you get there. So this will be additional requests you will have from them. You will ask them to prepare these documents for you. You say, if you have a survey, please have the survey copy for me, property taxes. This is crucial because the legal description of the property is usually on this document, on property taxes. And it is required, mandatory, that you should have a property taxes on your listing. If you don't, Trip will charge you $400 if you put like 0 or some old number which is not relevant. So you don't want to get charged. Property taxes are mandatory field. You have to have property taxes. How much they owe on the mortgage is important. Well, in this market it may not be important, but if things change, it will become very important to know how much they owe. Sometimes the money they owe on the house may not be enough equity left to pay your commission. So that document might become important. If the property has never been listed before on MLS, or even if it is better to ask the layout from the builder, because this will help in your measurements. Although in school you're taught that each time you go for a listing, you take your own measurements, right? You know that, but this is a measurement from the builder. Any questions before we go further than this? You have not missed much. We are just like...
oh, you started, sorry about that. I get in late and then I couldn't find the place.
No problem.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
For inside the package, you mentioned just sold and just listed. Are those the houses you just...
Yeah, houses you have just listed or just sold. But let's say this is your first time.
Yeah.
You can use office listings.
Okay.
The printing a postcard, for example, If you go to Walmart, they can print a picture for 19 cents. So you can print a couple of them that the office sold. So you're part of this office you can use. But eventually when you build your own clients, in the package should have your own listings that you have sold, listings that you have just listed, things like, basically to show that you're in the business, you're doing all these things for them. The point of the package is to impress them, right? Okay, so now we're still at office or at our home. We have dropped the package, we have called them. The third step is to get yourself ready for the presentation. You're not yet at their home, you're still here. And this is the list of things you should have in your bag. So, I mean, if you want to look professional, these days, those bags that, you know, lawyers carry, you can buy one of those, I don't know for how much, $50, $60 from Business Depot. I would highly recommend you have that.
In the briefcase?
Yeah, briefcase, yeah. Well, not those very formal briefcases, but the ones that is a little bit leather. I mean, whatever you prefer, let's put it this way. But maybe if it is a little bit more trendy, it's better. So in that bag, this is the list of things you should have. Clipboard. So you might ask why clipboard is important. Have you ever noticed that when police officer stops you at because you have passed red light or speeding, well, hopefully not, but I'm sure we have all experienced that. So let's admit that. So when they stop, do you notice that whatever you say, they start writing, right? And because they are writing, you pay more attention to what you say, and you take them seriously. They might be writing crap, and trust me, most of the time they don't write anything. It is just a tactic, a psychological tactic to get your 100% focus, attention, and control of the situation. You always want to be in control of the situation when you go to client's house. So that clipboard, which you can buy from dollar store, or if you're a very fancy guy, you can buy it from Toys or whatever, us or wherever for $10, whatever you're, but have a clipboard. As you talk with the client, you should always try to write whatever they say. Take note. You try this, trust me, they will take you more seriously. They will pay more attention to what you say, and also they will be paying more attention what they say. And anyways, clipboards will be used practically when you take measurements of the rooms, when you have they have renovated the home and you want to take notes of that, the features of home, so it will come handy. You'll use calculator because you might be using to calculate the mortgage amounts and whatnot. You know what is CMA, right? So you have to prepare a CMA. CMA is available through Toronto Real Estate Board, through Toronto MLS. If you don't know how to use it, ask me, Nilo, later to show you how to do it. But basically, you have done this in a school. You have subject property and compare it with at least 3 other properties within a very close proximity. We will discuss about CMAs later. Seller's net sheet, I'm sure you have also seen this, which basically shows how much is left in seller's pocket. By the way, for you guys that were not at the beginning of this session, I was mentioning that the focus of this session is mainly marketing and business. We are going to touch upon technical and legal forms that are taught in school, but I'm not going to go into detail through those because you have already learned in school. You're here today basically to know where to start and how to make money. But for example, if seller's net sheet is something that you have never heard in school, let me know. I will tell you what is that. It's a form that at the end of the day will calculate how much mortgage they have and how much it might sell, how much is your commission, and how much they will receive in their pocket. That's seller's net sheet, right? You want to go with filled. I want to emphasize and stress on this word filled. You are not going to go with a blank form. Basically, you will try to have all the information ahead of time, fill it, and then for example, you might say, I don't have the measurements. Most of the time, properties are listed on MLS before you go, which means they bought 5 years ago from someone that was listed on MLS. So a lot of information is there. It doesn't mean you will use that information, because we are required to take our own measurements. So, but if it is filled, you will do the measurements. If it is incorrect, you will just scratch it and correct it. The purpose of filled agreement is, ideally, you don't want to be at seller's house more than 20 to 30 minutes. Ideally, it is 20 minutes. The sooner you come out, the better it is, because the more they ask you questions, the more there's the chances that they might change their mind. Are you following me? So it is better to do it sooner. So if it is filled forms, that means you will not waste your time sitting there. So if it is not filled form, they might say, you know what, why didn't you go fill that and come back tomorrow? By the time you call them back tomorrow, they have changed their mind, they have moved on to someone else. And sales is something that you want to capture then and there. If you have been in sales, you will notice, well, let me put it in another way. You're not in sales, let's say consumers, we are all consumers. If you walk into, just you went with your friends for fun to Yorkdale Mall, and you either went to Aldo shoe store, and there was a good salesperson pushing you that this is a good shoe and blah, blah, and you're impressed in that moment, you will say, you know what, let me buy it. You might buy it, right? But if you come out, you will say, okay, let me walk around, I will come back, buy it. Don't you think most of the time we don't go back to buy it? Is it true or not? Yeah. We say we will come back, and we have the intention of coming back, but there are so many other distractions that, or we will say, you know what, I will buy it from Markville Mall any day, it's near my home, or I don't have enough money right now. So we change minds. So that's why sales is something, when you capture it in that moment, you should not let it go. So that's why you should go fully prepared, filled forms. If you have memo pads or magnets, now, what's this? There is a company, I think it's called ColorTick, or you can see if you can find it in other places too. They're selling calendars that you can put your business card. You can basically, it's a sticker that you can, it's a magnet sticker that you can peel it off and put your business card on it, and you can give it to clients. Memo pad, you have to print it from large printing companies. These are not very expensive. It will probably, for 100 of them, you can get less than $100. This is to show that you're leaving a permanent advertising with them, something of you that is going to stay at their home. It also shows that you're an established business, established person, salesperson. Well, measurement tool, what's this? I'm not sure how much this topic is discussed at school, but there are few options. The more traditional is those long tapes that somebody has to hold on the other side, and you have to measure each room because you have to measure, you're required. Those tapes are hard because the sellers may not feel comfortable to hold it for you. So now there is, actually not now, a few years ago, there was a laser option so that you will stand at one side of the wall and you will point it, press a button, and it has a laser something that will give you the measurement between where you're standing. It's not 100% accurate, sometimes it's errors. There is another option, I think they're selling at Home Depot. It's like a little cycle tire that you can walk with across, and it's very easy, and it's manual, but I think it's more accurate. So basically you have to have a measurement tools. And this is also helpful. We will come to the, we are still not, by the way, this is not your listing presentation. This is things that you should have. I will come with your listing presentation. These are the tools that you should have in your package. Reference letters and testimonials. If you don't have it from real estate, it could be from your previous work. Somebody saying that you're some good things you have done for them, or you're a hardworking, or you're a trustworthy person. Any questions on this slide? I don't want you guys to be confused. It's still, you're not at their home. You are still at your home, but you're just preparing for the presentation. Are we clear about that? Okay, stop me so let me summarize these 3 points. You dropping the package is to impress them, right? And then by calling them, which was pre-qualifying questions, you're building confidence. And sales is a step-by-step process. You have to go through these steps. And then once you do those things, You have to have a professional image by having the right tools in your hand and that briefcase, if you might want to call it.
So step 2 is really not meeting them personally yet.
None of these are meeting personally. This is, you're dropping the package without even knocking on their door. You just drop the package, or even someone else that helps you can drop the package. This is, you call them and ask those pre-qualifying questions, such as, how long have you lived here? When are you planning to move? And who else owns the house? Is it just you on the title or someone else? If they are married, regardless, you need signatures, you know that. So they both have to be there. And then what are the changes you have made to the house since you bought it? You take all the notes as much as possible. And if you feel comfortable and confident when I come tomorrow to meet you for the presentation, will you list with me? So, and then you will have all the tools necessary. Any other questions? Okay, so when you evaluate the property, now remember we are still at our office. I'm repeating that so that you're not confused. You're not at their home. When you evaluate the property, these are the most important factors. Of course, the most important one is location of the property. So try to find properties as close as possible to the subject property. One thing that's not on the list is the timing. Ideally, it should not be more than 3 months. So try to find properties that were sold in the past 3 months. If it is longer than 3 months, it's a little bit too old. Maximum 6 months, but ideally 3 months. So if it's on the same street, it's even better. But as close, the closer the better, because real estate prices will make a huge difference if it is in a next street or another street. These locations are very important. Those of you that live in Markham, for example, one side of McCowan Street and the other side of McCowan Street, which is east side and west side, there is a huge difference, at least 50 to 70,000 for the exact same house. The reason is that because the schools are different and people prefer some school over other school, or because if you call Richmond Hill from this side of McCowan, it's considered local call. If you call from the other side of McCowan, it's a long distance call. So you have to be aware that locations make a big difference, even within Markham, even within the same neighborhood, as close as possible to the property when you're comparing. Of course, the rest of the things is the size, how big it is, the style, which is it bungalow, is it 2-story? Condition of the house makes a huge difference. If it is occupied by a big family with a lot of children, they may have not maintained the property. So even if the same house, probably it will sell differently. But I think you guys have been through CMAs in school, so I'm not going to go too much in detail. And you know, we make adjustments, like for example, one has 2 kitchens in the basement, one is finished basement. These are just approximate ideas. One is carpet and one is hardwood floors. So you will make all those adjustments when you prepare. And that's why this is another reason you cannot just jump in your car, and if somebody says, come and list my house or sell my house, you cannot do it because you have to do your homework. If you go there, you will not look good because you will not be fully prepared. Questions? One of the other places that you should visit before going to their house, if you look on your Toronto MLS, for those of you that have login, if you don't, then maybe you ask us later, but on the top right corner, there is a button called Land Registry. Land Registry, you know what is Land Registry? It has the data for all the houses registered in the province of Ontario. So if you type the address, you have to select the region and then the address. It will give you not the name, because it's important. You want to know if you're meeting the right person. If the person who owns the house, for example, did not call you, but his son called you, although in some cultures, for example, the property might be in son's name, but the property is actually father's, and the father called you, but legally and technically you're supposed to meet the son and get his signature. Do you know what I'm saying? So in Land Registry, it will tell you who is the owner or who are the owners of the property. So if it is both husband and wife, you want them to be there. And also, it has the assessment of the property. So if you see there, it will say that for the tax year 2012, this property is evaluated by MPAC at 400, 500. It will have the value of the property there. Based on that value, your property tax are based on that value. You guys are following me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So where can we see the impact assessment?
In that same thing, land registry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, remember, land registry is not, impact assessment, which is your taxes are based on, is not necessarily reflecting the market value. Sometimes market value might be 10, even 20% higher than what impact assessed your property. Impact might, on your property taxes every year it comes that your property is assessed X amount. Your property might be assessed at 500, but market value might be 600. But this is just to give you an idea. And also you might be able to compare impact assessment of this house and another house that's sold. Because you have unlimited access. You can just search and it will come up. Questions? You guys are not taking note. I'm assuming that your memory is very strong. So anyways, after we do our home.
Do you have a soft copy or hard copy of the presentation?
Yeah, both. No, not hard copy, soft.
Soft copy.
Yeah, it is on most of these computers already. But if not, then you can also ask Nilo, will email it to you. Yeah. Okay, so now we are prepared, we have done our homework, we've dropped in the package. Now we are at their house. Now what should we do at their house? This video will explain, but I also have slides that we will elaborate. But I think you should, if you have any questions, then note it, and after the video finishes, we'll talk. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good to see you. James.
Good. Amir.
Yeah, pleasure. and then you ask them to sign on that. And of course, to discuss the price, it is very crucial that you bring the new listings of the listings that are right now in the market to show who we are competing against. Because buyers at the end of the day will look at all these properties and select the one that is the right price. And also you bring the sold to show how much similar properties are sold in the past so that we can get fair market value. So at the end of the day, once again, before I let you go, everything in sales is a process, and you have to take it a step at a time before jumping and bringing that star, whether it is you or the price or evaluation of the house. Thank you. Okay, kind of it doesn't make sense while I'm here, I'm playing my videos, but I think maybe there are a couple of reasons. It will give me a break, and secondly, I want to show off that I was younger and better looking before. Things have changed now, but I think on a serious note, it is a summary of books and experiences that I have gathered it in a 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes video. So I think it's very valuable. What I'm sharing here may not necessarily work for everybody. It may not work for you, but I'm sharing what worked for me. So maybe you may not want to implement everything. It's up to you. I think your circumstances and your situation might be different, but I think I'm just sharing what worked for me. I wish I had someone, when I started more than 10 years ago, I wish I had somebody sharing their experience with me. Unfortunately, in a lot of places, they don't share. Let's put it this way. I know there was no one for me to share. Anyway, so now you're at their home. So let's focus on a few things. First of all, keep in mind that your presentation, if it is just you talking, is not impressive. What impresses people, an effective presentation is 80% something visual. So for example, let's put an example right now. Right now, you guys are paying attention more to these slides than what I say. Is it not true? So these are studies done that 80%, if I didn't have this, and if I just stand here and keep on talking, I think you guys will get bored, no matter how a good job I do. But because I have these slides, you're listening and you're paying attention, and probably you're learning more, because as these slides change, you guys pay attention to these slides. Is that not true? So the same thing applies when you go for a presentation. You have to have these slides, and I will share you what slides you should have. And again, this presentation should follow these 3 steps, and I will explain why that's important. So first, you have to discuss about a slide or two. So let's say if you're doing a PowerPoint through your computer or through a folder manually, I will show you can do both. A slide or two about Toronto Real Estate Board. For example, Toronto Real Estate Board sold 8,000 homes last month. They have sold 80,000 last year. They have on average, it was on the market for 40 days or 50 days or whatever the case is, and you can easily get this information from Toronto Real Estate Board. If you play with it, there is a lot of information like this that you can prepare. And actually, Toronto Real Estate Board issues something called Market Watch. It comes out every month. It's published it's a newsletter that comes out. So it will say, for example, okay, so for this month, it will be February. So in February 2012, these are the number of homes sold, average homes price, how much it came down, how much it went up, whether the average price increased or decreased. So you can use that information. Why is that important? Because you want to show that you're part of a bigger industry. It is not just you. If they list their property, they have the whole industry behind them. And it is true, because once their property goes on MLS, there is 33,000 other people that will potentially look at that property through Toronto MLS. If they have a client, they will bring it. So you want to look big. And then you will talk about your company. The main purpose of this one is to show that you're part of a team, that you're not just alone, and as we said, it's true. And then at the end, you have to talk about yourself. And I already have presentation that I have for you, which I will share it in a moment. But any questions so far? Because I'm going through this because it was already discussed in that video. These are same slides. And then once you discuss those, once you go through what about yourself and about the industry and about the company, now you will talk about the price. If you talk about the price at the beginning, for example, they will say, how much is my home worth? You will say 5 to 520. They will say, okay, thank you very much, goodbye. Because they want to hear what they have heard, and then they don't need you anymore. But if you go through the whole presentation, even if they push you that you give me the price, try to avoid it. Okay, you say, I will, it depends, let me explain to you. You have to go through that presentation for a couple of reasons. First of all, you want to impress them. Secondly, listen this from me, from my past 10 years of experience. When people feel obligated, they will give you business. When you do presentation and you have given your energy and spent 10, 20 minutes on presenting, they will feel kind of obligated to do business with you. Are you guys following me? If you just go walk in and say, how much is my property worth? You said 500. Okay, they will say, thank you, I have my daughter coming in this afternoon, I have to prepare for them, we have to cook, so can you just excuse us? They got what they wanted and they don't feel much obligated. I'm sharing experience. If you follow what we are discussing here, you will that will work for you. Okay, so about the price, this is a very crucial graph that should be on your listing. Now they will argue about your price. If you go there and say your property is worth 500, they will say, can we try for 550? Probably not, because it's not in their best interest. Look at this chart, and these are studies done. This line shows if they list it at the market value, they will attract 60% of buyers. Now, not 60% of all buyers, the buyers that are looking for this type of property in that area, in that neighborhood. So if there are 10 buyers, they will attract on average 6 of them if they list it at market value. Let's say if you suggested 500, they will list at 500. If they go at 550, which is 10% more, 10% more, you will see that they will lose half of the buyers, prospects that might be looking. Do you know what I'm saying? So, sometimes they argue we will list it higher, then we will negotiate. You have already missed half of the people that are going to see your house. There is nobody to negotiate. Are you guys following that? I mean, if you're listed low in multiple offer situations, yes, you will attract more people, but it is a little bit risky. What if this property does not go into multiple offer? So I will not recommend too much going here. I think going with the market value is the best scenario. Sometimes if you list it too low, for example, somewhere here, it might attract people, but they might get suspicious. What's wrong with this property? Why is it listed so low? There must be something wrong. Do you follow? I mean, if it is within 5% less, it is okay. But if it is too less, like if the property is worth at 500 and you list 15% less, which is like 420, that people will think, why this is so cheap? What's wrong with it? So you have to be right, and you should always have this graph on your listing presentation, because the topic of price will come up. They will argue with you that we want to list it higher. Well, this is another graph related to that subject. You can see most of the activity happens in the first 4 weeks. I would even say, you can see the peak of activities are in the middle, somewhere here, which is the second week. So if the property doesn't sell in the first month, you see somewhere here, that means it really slows down. People don't go there. When it is new, people are curious, people want to see it. When it stays longer than a month or so, then it is harder to sell. So you want to show them that if you don't attract, they will say, okay, let's try for 2 weeks, and if it doesn't happen, then we will change it. But you will miss golden opportunity if you try it for 2 weeks. Any questions? Okay, this is a listing presentation, which I have the digital format. Now, I would highly recommend, I don't like technology too much because sometimes it's unreliable. And I think I found it manual is better, but you have the choice of doing it this way or on your laptop. But I prefer doing this. You can buy this from Business Depot, I think about $10 or something. So it's a folder like this. Basically, when you go and sit on their kitchen table, this folds backwards and it becomes like a monitor. Sorry?
I said that's good.
So then you have printed all this. By the way, this is all prepared. You just need to change your pictures or some of the slides you want to remove it or whatever. It's up to you. You can change it. So then this is how you will go step by step what I explained, the presentation that is already prepared for you.
I believe you have both is better. So.
Yeah, you can have both, but I had good experience with this. So basically you will go through this and what you will do for them, and I mean if this is too much information for you, you can take out some of the slides. Do you see that this what we were discussing is right here? Right? So you should, this is explaining a step by step what happens, and then at the end you have a calendar which, okay, I have missed the calendar. Basically, oh yeah, here. So this will say in the next 30 days what you will do for them. For example, you will install a sign, you will install a lockbox, you will put a flyer, you will do advertise or whatever. It will say the whole month, but this is basically your marketing plan of action in one sheet. This might take a day or two or even a week to prepare for you, but it is worth it. You do it one time and you will not do it again. And if you don't do this and you go to a listing presentation without doing this, your chances of listing will go very low. Okay? So this is already done for you. You just change your name and picture. And the digital file is available anytime you let us know, we can email it to you. Pay attention to details because, for example, this one has Susan.ca, so this website you have to change and make your own website. So there are some small fonts that you might miss. Good? Okay.
So, if you have on a laptop, you could also have, they have these small portable projectors also.
Yeah.
So you could attach that to your laptop and maybe project
Sure,
just like this.
Sure. Okay, whatever you prefer, but I have found this is more convenient. This is what people like. I mean, this is more like you can easily flip through it. I mean, I don't know. It's up to you, whichever you feel comfortable. You have both the options. So once they agree, now they will, because you have taken your filled listing agreement form, they will sign. And you have to make sure, obviously, that both sides wants to sign. I will not go through listing agreement because it will take our whole day. I'm assuming you already know what listing agreement is, right? But if you have questions that you're not understanding, oh, by the way, you're also filling the MLS data form. And again, this session is not technical or legal. It's more marketing and business. I want you to make money. But if you don't know how to do this, you ask us anytime, okay? Because I'm assuming a school teaches all those things. And we discussed about mortgage verifications and things like that. So now before you leave their home, part of your package, you should have something like this. And again, it's already prepared by the office for you. It lists what should they do and not do to prepare their home for showing. So for example, somewhere here it says you should not cook when there is a showing, because people don't like to walk into, I mean, the food might smell good for you, but may not smell good for someone else. So, and it's a list of other things. What should they do so that people feel comfortable? If it is like a little bit hot weather, you should have your AC on. Otherwise, if they don't feel comfortable, they will walk in and walk out, right? And generally, I think the house have to look good from outside, curb appeal. So they might spend a little bit painting to paint the garage door or whatever, but it lists everything that's there, and I'm not going to go through that list because it will take again the whole day. So, yeah.
Do we have any company that helps with staging or something?
Yeah. There is a lot of companies that do staging.
No, I mean any company that is used by.
Well, yeah, we can refer you to the one that we use, but this is the policy in our company. We don't want to attach ourselves with any contractor, because if anything mishap happens, then you guys will blame us, right? So it's better that you find your own staging company or renovation company. But of course, anytime we can refer you. We can give you their names. Yeah, recommend somebody. We don't want to be affiliated with anybody, then later on you will get the blame too, right?
Is it helpful to?
It's very helpful. We will discuss about the staging too. So let's summarize what we have discussed so far in this graph. So basically, the condition of the house is not in seller's control. You cannot control, nobody can control if they have kids and everything is everywhere in the house, and a person shows up to look at the property, you cannot control. You can only kind of suggest that they should follow what you have said. Location and financing is something that is out of your control because it is already given. If the interest rates are at 3.2% by Bank of Montreal or Bank of RBC or wherever, you cannot change it. And the house is sitting there, you cannot change it. So what this is showing, basically, you have to, no matter what location or what financing situation, you have to work. This is not in your control. And the seller, you can only kind of try to, convince them to go with the good condition. And the value of the house, remember, is not by you. It's not by what the seller says. You have to find out what the market says. Okay? What is in your control is this purple slide, which is marketing. And we will discuss how you will market the property. Other than marketing, it's a teamwork. The seller has to work with you. The location has to be good, and you have to price it right. If you don't price it at the market value, people will not buy if you or your client list it higher. Okay? Okay. Now, marketing home. This is just a brief list of what you can do. Obviously, the most important one is MLS network. More than 85% of houses are sold through other agents. So when you put it on MLS listing, other agents try to show it and they will sell the property for you. It is very rare that you will double in. You might, but generally more than 80-85% is sold by MLS. And another good news, those of you that are following the news in the media about people listing for $99 for just listing on MLS, things like that. If you're following that news, just a piece of good news that generally the public wants to hire an agent to sell their house through MLS. Just by listing it, they cannot sell it. I think listing is such a sophisticated process. You guys have been through school through 3 phases, and you're having another session today, and you will have sessions to understand this. This is not for a general, regular person selling their home. It's not that easy. There are so many things involved. Do you guys agree? And I think I have a backup. In US, the idea that has just introduced in Canada, it was introduced 20 or 30 years ago. This idea of just anybody can list and you don't need an agent, things like that. Today, still more than 80% of houses are sold through regular, normal real estate agency.
And also, you have them with a lot of experience to get better value.
Yeah. I mean, our proof is United States market. This idea that just came in Canada a few months ago was there in US for a long time, and still people are selling to. I mean, yes, there are some people that are confident enough that they know what they are doing. They will list themselves. They will handle the buyers themselves. They will handle the agreement of purchase and sell. Yes, there might be few people, but general public that we know is not that sophisticated, right? So MLS is the most powerful. If you have your own websites, if you don't, there are companies that will give you $20-30 a month, and you can join them. I think, were you here last week?
ICI World.
Yeah, that was one of them. There are so many of them. You can advertise in newspaper, magazine ads, but this is less effective now. Database of buyers is very important. This is how I built my database. So when you have a listing, you call the neighborhood. You say, I have listed a house on 123 Main Street. Do you know anyone that might be interested to buy this house? Now that has two purposes. One, you might find someone, their sister, cousin, or friend, or somebody wants to move to this neighborhood, which the chances are less, but at the same time, you will get another client. You might get another client. They will say, this guy is working so hard to sell that property, so let me also list with him. Do you know what I'm saying? So you have to create your database of buyers by marketing. Of course, open houses. In a couple of months, on our monthly meetings, I will have a full two hours about how to do effective open houses. But you know what's open house, right? So basically, you'll put your sign and people will walk in if the weather is good and things like that. You have to prepare a color feature sheet. And you know what's feature sheet? Basically, it's a picture of the house and also what is in the house, amenities, how many bedrooms, what are property. It's about the house. Toronto MLS has a pre-prepared feature sheet, which it's a very standard. It doesn't look the best, but it's better if you don't know how to design. Of course, you will install a sign and you can advertise it on free websites. This is one of the very effective websites, KGG, especially if it's a rental property. Any questions? Okay. So once you sign the agreement of purchase and sell, this is what you should do for the office. There is a checklist by the office that requires the documents from you that you have to submit. And of course, you will install a lockbox. Most of the time, the sellers are not home, but there are some sellers, they will say, I want to be at home when someone comes. So it depends, but generally there is install, you have to lockbox. There is a company that it's called Chaplin Signs. You can call them, or there are other ones, but this is the one that we use. You can call them and they will install the sign for you. These are the things, like if you list last night, the next day you have to bring these documents to the office, the listing agreement and also instructions. So what's instruction? You will tell the front staff that, for example, you have to call this number, confirm with this guy before releasing the lockbox, or they will tell you what time to come, or give them 2-hour notice. That's the instruction. Any questions? A copy of the documents are required by the office.
For open houses, if the seller wants to be there, is that good or bad?
It's not good because the buyer will not feel comfortable, but there are some people, it's just their character. They don't feel comfortable leaving their house to someone else. They don't feel comfortable, so it's up to them. But I mean, it is highly recommended that they should not be there at the time of showing.
How about safety for the things?
Well, I mean, you should say you should never leave anything outside, but all the agents are required to be with their client wherever they go through the house. So if they go to master bedroom, the agent has to be with them. And generally, the agent should be responsible. Yeah, but I think it's a very good advice that they should keep everything that's expensive, valuable somewhere that's not visible.
And do we have to make the sellers to fill out the individual information, something?
Yeah, you mean ID by the FinTrack.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also need them to
fill that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's required recently in the past couple of years. If you guys know how to use Toronto MLS, so if you don't know how to search, then ask Nilo, she will help you. Or Richa, the lady that works here during the weekdays. Basically, this will show you how to search for houses, but it's very easy. I mean, you just select what type of house, what price range, and what area, and you press submit. All the houses in that area comes up to 100. If it is more than 100, that you have to narrow down your search. But if you know how to use computer, this you can use. you have to have a login. But if you don't know or if you're stuck, then let us know.
And they have the quick search and the flex
Yeah,
search.
flex search, yeah. Flex search gives you like more fields that you can choose.
More, flexible.
Yeah. As I was discussing, 80% of real estate is sold by other agents. The rest 20% is open house or somebody refers or for sale sign or internet advertising. It's still majority of houses are sold by real estate agents, by other real estate agents. So you list the house and the other agent basically brings their client. This is what normally the biggest part of the market, that's how normally it happens. This 20% is your marketing efforts. By the way, when I say other real estate agents, it's still you have to do a good job. For example, in the comment section of your listing agreement, you have to write some good comments so that people will be attracted. Or you have to have professional pictures taken so that it will attract other agents to come. That's still part of marketing. If it is a crappy picture or if you don't write too much about your house, even other agents will not show it. Okay, I think maybe that kind of covered in this video. So I will have a break, and this video will discuss how to grow your business with the listing.
Website
Any questions? By the way, the package that I was talking about earlier is already prepared for you. You can see, you just have to change your picture here and have a bio here changed. But the content here, for example, these pictures should stay. It will show that you're part of a team. And what you will do for them, there are 7 things you will do. It's already done for you. You just have to print it and I think change your picture. That's it. So we have at this office, we have done a lot of things for you. It is already done. This presentation is already done for you. This package is already done for you. I mean, we understand that when you start, because I have been through this, unfortunately, you don't have much of information and you don't know what to do. So that's why we have already done most of the things for you. It's just up to you how you want to take this business seriously. Let me disclose this, that if you don't treat this like a business, and if you just treat it like, you know, whenever I get some friend or family that will list for me, you will get soon disappointed, because even your friends or family, if they don't feel confident in you, they will not give you business. So no matter what, even these days, our families and friends want to protect their interests, so they would rather give the business to someone that they know they will sell the property at the highest price possible and fastest time possible, right? So no matter what, I mean, if this is just, I understand for some of you this might be a part-time and you have a full-time job, but I think you want to move from part-time to full-time one day, because there is a lot more money in this than any other job you're doing. I don't think, let me assume, I don't think that you're making more than $10,000 a month. But if you sell only one house, you will make more than $10,000 a month. Only one house in 1 month. I mean, on average, the houses are $400,000 to $500,000 in Greater Toronto area on average. A commission on that is on average more than $10,000. So I don't think I mean, once you do this the right way, there is nothing better. I have been through 7 different kind of businesses, and this is the best thing that I have ever been, because it is so easily possible to make money. It totally depends on you how you want to take this seriously. Anyways, that was a little bit out of topic, but any questions?
That's good that you bring it up.
Yeah.
I have another business too, so I'm just looking at the venue too.
Yeah.
Like,
any questions about this? Pictures are important. There is I think, well, some of you might be good in taking pictures, but there is a company that charges about $100 or $110. They come and they take pictures professionally. They have a special equipment. I think it's called panoramic view, that makes the rooms bright and bigger. So they charge you, but it is worth it. And these days, I mean, you guys are on internet. You don't want to go and see a house if you don't know what's going on, because 9 out of 10 of them will give you the pictures. If your house doesn't have pictures, the people will ignore it, because they will think it's not good. So let me go to the ones that has pictures and I know what I'm looking for. So that's why you should take pictures and upload it with the listing.
How about virtual tools? Are they?
Yeah, well, the guy that I said that charges 110, they do both. It's a picture and virtual tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This one was a little bit interesting. I don't know if you got the point, is that you will invite the neighborhood to the open house. So, for example, if your open house is tomorrow, you will go today or a couple of days before that. You will print something like this. For example, it will say just listed, but you will say you're invited to my open house on Saturday between 1 and 4. A lot of people may not come, but you're trying to establish your brand. You're trying to get other clients. This is about growing your business, right? I mean, I wish you guys could have come to the 5-day seminar, because these things are discussed in a lot more detail. And about the open house, we will go into detail, and I cannot go into that much detail here. You have to have a valid reason to call them back. So basically, which means if somebody walks in, you have to pay attention to their detail. Well, I mean, they will say, for example, something about their kid that is not feeling well, for example. So when you call back, you'll say, how is your kid feeling? So if you have a valid reason to call back, it is more, you will establish connection and relationship with them much easier. Okay. So once you do all these things, something that all clients or almost everyone complains is that once an agent lists a property, they don't update them. So have on your schedule that every week, every week, you will call them and you will say, for example, 5 people came to your house. I called them. 3 of them said the price is too high. 1 of them said that the property is not in good condition. So share with them what's going on. You have to update your clients. This is part of the service. And I think once they are happy with you, they will also try to refer you to other clients. Okay, now amendment, in case if you know what's amendment, right? This is amendment not to agreement of purchase and sale. This is amendment to listing. So let's say if you want to change the price, then you will call them and say, you will not say I want to change the price, you will say I want to adjust the price. You will not say that I want to reduce the price. Those terms make a difference. If you say reduce, they will not like it. Adjust means you're just adjusting to the market value. Do you follow me? So when you adjust the price, there is a form called amendment. You will basically put what was the previous price and what's the existing price you want, and then they have to sign. So the listing is still stays, but you're changing the price. And that's why once you use this amendment, when you go on MLS, it will show PC, which means price changed. Questions? Okay, now, of course, if you have a buyer, either your own or some other agents brings an offer. In an offer, I'm not going into detail of purchase and sale agreement. We have only half an hour and a lot to cover, but price obviously is the most important thing, right, for a house, but price is not everything. It's how much deposit they gave, what are the terms, and what are the conditions, and what they want to include, and when is the closing. So they might give the highest price possible, but they will say, I want to close end of this month. Your client will say, no, I can't, because my daughter is still going to school till June 21st. So it's not always the price, it's so many other things, but of course price is the most important. Questions about, do you know this is agreement of purchase and sale that you have received? Now I have a whole session about how to negotiate effectively, but for now I will say that usually you will go through the negotiation. So basically you will sit down with your client and talk to them, and then the other agent will sit with their client. So this offer will go back and forth few times, and that's why each time you have to initial. Any changes you have to initial. Now, generally a rule of thumb is that you don't want to bring both sides on the same table. That's not a good idea. Usually you will be working with your client and the other agent will be working with their client. In case if you're representing both, they should not be both in the same room, not even in the same house, because they could hear each other. It is better to have one of them in a coffee shop, so you will drive back and forth. Right? Okay, so once you sold the property, again you will print something like this. Remember, people, even established brand names like Tim Hortons or McDonald's or whoever, they still advertise. Even people buy from them and they know them, but still they want to keep on remember it so that you remember them. Now, if you print this, so you have invited them for your invitation, just listed, you will print the same thing and go, you say I sold the same property. So now you're going for the second time. The more they see your face, the more they see your activity, the more trust you will build in them, the more they will feel comfortable, confident in you, that you can do a job, right? Because they're giving $500,000 in your hand, and they have to somehow see that you're capable of handling that. You guys are following me? Like, if they think that you just somebody that they don't know how to handle this, they don't want to risk $500,000. If you drop the ball, they are at a big risk. So that's why if you do these things, they will feel comfortable in you. And how to get these market stats is very easy. You go for that street, you go on MLS, and you type available, unavailable for everything that's sold in that area. It will give you average, it will give you the lowest price, the highest price for same type of a house. So if it's a townhouse, it will give you for townhouse. And again, if you don't know how to do this, first of all, play with Toronto MLS, but you can ask me or Nilo anytime. As you can appreciate, because of lack of time, we cannot go through everything. Now, on the closing date, obviously, you will receive your commission, and they will. It is, and again, some misunderstanding that some sellers have, that they will think I sold at 400 and there is nothing else. Remember, there could be mortgage penalty, which means the financial institution, let's say CIBC or RBC or TD Bank or whatever they got the mortgage from, because they're selling before the end of the term of the mortgage, they might charge them a big penalty. Depends. So they have to know. And on your commission, they have to pay HST that they have to know, which is 13%. Lawyers' fees. So these are the things that they have to know. And since we are discussing about the issue of commission, I maybe should tell you our policy. Our policy is that we will not allow an agent to list less than 1%. So minimum, you have to list 1% for listing. And of course, you have to offer, generally the norm of the market is 2.5% for the other agent. We recommend 4 or 5%, which is the norm of the market, but minimum. So basically that minimum is that even if you sell your own house or your brother's house, you may not charge them any commission, still you will be liable for the 1%. You guys are following me? So let me, yeah. So let me clarify. Let's say if your brother's house is 500,000, even if you charge them 0 commission, still we will calculate based on 1%, which is 5%. Sorry, 5,000. 5,000, because 1% of 500 is 5,000, right? So from that 500, whatever is your split, let's say if your split is 90-10, which means 10% of 5,000 is 500. So you will get charged, or your brother should get charged at least 500. Okay?
So when you mentioned minimum 1%, that's just the total commission, or you're talking about like 1% plus 2.5% for the selling agent, and so the total is 3.5%?
No, I think my point was a little bit different. No matter how much you charge your client, is up to you. Office will charge you based on 1%.
At least minimum.
Minimum.
So even if you